So we know you need to exercise in order to be healthy. But to be honest, maybe you find it really hard to go to the gym. Maybe you find it kind of tedious. Or maybe you even enjoy it afterwards, you feel good, but getting there is a struggle. And keeping it up with any regularity just never happens. Well, I'm here to tell you today that it's not your fault. And you're not alone. And it's not even a failure of your willpower. What it is it's a failure of our modern day culture. So think about this, we are programmed evolutionarily to conserve energy. In the wild, it would take, and in primitive times, it would take a large amount of movement and energy to gather all the food and prepare all the shelter, etc., that we needed to survive. And so we have this instinct to conserve energy as much as possible. Now, humans are pretty clever, and so we started to then learn how to conserve energy by creating technology. We started to make a wheel and a wheelbarrow, and we learned how to create clothes to conserve the heat in our body, etc., etc. And every piece of technology, in a way, requires less movement of our body. And so now we come to modern times, and we are surrounded, inundated by all the technology, which is very wonderful to help us lead, thriving and convenient lives. But it's so convenient now that there's no reason to move, and our bodies are suffering for that. But we also have this instinct to not move. So what do? How can you live a healthy life? And you could just add exercise in and go to the gym, but when we do that, we've sort of removed any intrinsic value in the movement. So I can lift a weight with my bicep a whole bunch of times, but I'm not really getting any reward from it except this sort of vague notion that I'm getting healthier and stronger, and I think I should do it. And the problem is, without any immediate reward, or if you don't have any particular goal, then it's hard to keep our enthusiasm up for that type of activity. And so that's why many people just sort of drop out of exercise after a while. It's one thing if you have a particular reason, like you're an athlete and you want to get better at your sport, then usually people can maintain an exercise regime. Now, but what if you're not that kind of person? Or maybe you are, but you'd like to get more movement in your life. Well, I have 3 suggestions and 3 sort of tips to sort of rethink your lifestyle so that you get more movement and therefore more exercise into your life. Now, the first one is look at all the conveniences. Look at all the technology that you have around you and start to ask yourself, do I need this? Is it actually making me happier? Is it making me healthier? Now, for an example of that, let's take a look at my dining room or living room here. So does this look familiar? Is this maybe your apartment or your house where you're surrounded by furniture? And I have these chairs and tables and whatnot, and very little space to actually do any movement. And here's the thing about technology. Now, a chair and a table, they're another form of technology. Each piece of technology sort of invites us to use them and thereby move a little less with our bodies. So what could you do? You can ask, do I need this technology? Maybe you need a chair, but maybe I can rearrange it so that I give myself more opportunity to move. So I'm just going to move my chairs off to the side wall, for example. Maybe my table doesn't have to be where I use it all the time. Maybe I bring it to the back of the room. When I need to use my table, maybe I move it back. That's some movement right there. Maybe I don't even need this chair. Get rid of it. And now I've created this wide open space. And just like technology invites you to use it and let your body conform to it, an open space invites you to move more. So maybe then you can spend more time sitting on the floor and get thousands of variations of moving your knees and your hips and your back. So that's step one. But what if you open up your space and then you're going like, okay, now what? What do I do? Here's the second thing, is I would invite you to go, if you have children, that's awesome. And if you don't, just go someplace where you can watch a small kid play. They don't need any encouragement until a certain age to use the space, to use all the obstacles around them as a means for play. So that in the absence of any like survival need for movement, we need to reinvigorate, reignite a sense of play within ourselves. So if you create a space where you can roll around, you can go onto the floor and explore a little bit. Maybe you have a friend you can play games with, you can play Twister, whatever it is. Crawl around, spend some time. Just spend some time with your body figuring out how you could move more. And that's another step. But maybe you feel a little intimidated about that, and maybe that seems a little bit weird to you, which it could. The third thing I would say is invest in some education about your body and about types of movement. Go to classes, and this is the reason to go to an exercise class, if it's designed well, is give yourself the opportunity to learn like why alignment matters and how our natural alignment is being distorted by our modern day conveniences, and learn what movements you're missing in your life. And then learn how to put those back into your life. And even learning new games. That's a great place to get together in a community and learn games to play so that it requires movement. Other examples of letting go of conveniences are maybe instead of taking an elevator, you take the stairs. Maybe instead of driving straight to the front door at either the store or your work, you park a quarter mile away and take a little walk. Or whatever it is. You can be really creative. And notice that maybe these lack of conveniences, if they can actually create more enjoyment in your life. So those three things, try to see if you actually need any of the conveniences that you have, and those that you do need, great, keep them. Those that you don't, see if you can create more enjoyment of movement by releasing them. And number three is, number two is play some games. That's the enjoyment part. Learn how to play, make movement a playful thing rather than a work thing. And number three is think about investing in learning how to do all those things. Get some guidance. And if you'd like some more guidance, please check out the link below, and you can find out more information about stuff that I do in classes, etc. All right, well, I hope you have fun playing, and I'll see you next week.